See if I remember how to film a video. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm JJ the Bearded Bookworm, and today, missed a month, but I'm going to be doing my TBR for February. Just a quick note on kind of where I've been. Been going through a lot of kind of mental health things, and just kind of having to take a step back, much as I didn't want to, but it was for the best to kind of refocus myself. And now I'm ready to get back into it and start making content. So now I'm back, feeling really good, and hopefully this February TBR is not too ambitious, but hoping to kind of, like I said, really get back in, come back with a vengeance. Ha! Boom, baby! The first book I'm going to talk about is Gardens of the Moon. This is book one in the Malazan Book of the Fallen. I was supposed to read this last month and got through the first book and immediately got to Krupp, and he just kind of threw me off and kind of threw me off my reading schedule anyway. But I'm going to catch up because, like I said, I was supposed to read that last month. And with my scheduling of switching off back and forth between this and the Wheel of Time, I need to get this done so I don't fall farther and farther behind. So, like I said, switching off between Malazan and the Wheel of Time and just going back and forth one book at a time each month. And so, with that schedule, February is the month of The Great Hunt, and which means I finally finished The Eye of the World, which kept pushing it back, but in the beginning of last year is when I said I wanted to start reading The Wheel of Time, and just that first part where they're in Two Rivers in Edmondsfield was so boring. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't until the Trollocs and the monsters start showing up where I'm like, all right, cool, this is much better. But I did finish it, really enjoyed it. I'm gonna have a review coming out for that soon. But gonna be reading The Great Hunt in February and just continuing on with that Wheel of Time read along. The next two books are kind of book club picks. Through everybody, I feel like, is doing some version of a read along of some series, and so I'm focusing this year on reading books that I actually have, and so I kind of jump in and out of those read alongs as they fit with books that I do have. The first book that I'm reading as part of like a read along is Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan. Joshana is hosting a read-along of this entire series. There's 9 books in it. I only have the first one, but my library does have all of them, at least in audiobook, and that's how I started reading it, and I'm hooked. This is pretty fun. It's a like early, kind of like Primitive Man almost. The one group of people, the like best type of weapon that they have is like a bronze sword, but that's like an extremely rare item to have. So most of it's like sticks and stones and things like that. But there's also a group of these gods, and from the little bit that I have read, I've already started it. It's very much feels like an ongoing theme of so you have those like primitive people, and then you have these people that are viewed as gods, and so it's very much a they've made the comparison a lot of times that, an ant will see a mouse as a god because it lives so much longer, and things like that. And so very much just a questioning what people make as gods and their belief system kind of based around what they understand at that time. And this starts off with one of those primitive people actually killing one of the gods, which is believed to be impossible, and just kind of how that kind of sparks this entire change in the world. Um, and so I'm really excited. I'm hooked on it from the first chapter. And so, yeah, I'm definitely, I'm actually reading this one right now. This is my current read. The next book I'm reading is Legend Born by Tracy Dion. This is a little bit more outside of what I typically read. But Q and TG, they love this book. And Jessie May and Elliot Brooks are doing a buddy read of this book this month. So I decided to give it a shot. So many people that do enjoy kind of adult fantasy or adult books, even though this is kind of like a teen or young adult book, they all really love it. And so wanted to give it a shot. Plus, this cover is amazing. And I don't know anything about it other than this is like a Arthurian tale or Arthurian retelling. And clearly she's got powers. I don't know any clue what those powers mean other than it looks like there's two different ones. But I'm super, super stoked. Also, Neeks really loves this book too. And that's kind of who I first heard about this book from. These next two books are probably going to hurt me emotionally to read based on what everybody that has read these books so far have said. And those books are Ruin and Wrath by John Gwynne. This is book 3 and 4 of the Faithful and the Fallen series. Specifically, Ruin, aptly named, seems to ruin readers, and they really have to take a break from the series. But I'm a glutton for punishment, so I'm going to try to read both of these this month because I have the hardest time not continuing to read these books because if I'm reading two books at the same time while I've been reading the series, this is the series that I have to read second because I won't want to put this down. Everybody says that series is super tropey, and it is, but it feels like everything's done super fresh. And I have very limited exposure to reading fantasy in general, but I do know like The Chosen One, and it's very much a good versus evil. There's not a lot of, gray characters or kind of middle ground there, but it is done in such a good way that it doesn't feel like it's something that's been rehashed. It feels fresh and feels new. All of the characters, even the bad guys in the story, are extremely compelling and almost more interesting in a lot of ways, especially as the series goes on. The allegiances and where characters start out in the beginning of the series and kind of how each person's individual journey goes as the series continues is extremely interesting. I don't know if there's a viewpoint character that I don't like, except for one of the main bad guys in there. Can't remember what his name is off the top of my head right now, but he sucks. And if you've read the series, you know who I'm talking about. He's the bad guy from the very beginning. Other than him, even his boss and other people are completely awesome. Book 2 kind of introduced a little more of the kind of magic and the kind of the gods of the world and how they're playing. If you don't know, the series is about basically the good god and the bad god, their avatars representing them, basically clashing eventually. And so it kind of follows those avatars and the people around them in their journey to this big tumultuous moment. Now, this last book is a carryover from previous months. However, I have been reading the series and it is excellent. I haven't read a sci-fi series that I have enjoyed that hasn't been so fresh or different. I keep saying fresh, but that series is Binti. It's an extremely short series. I mean, the first 2 installments in this are only like 50 pages each, and then the last one's like 150 pages. It's that last one. I believe it's called the Night Masquerade. Yeah, Binti the Night Masquerade is the last one in the series. That's kind of like the icing on the cake for me. If I can get to that this month, I do have it on audiobook, and the audiobook is excellent. If anyone's sleeping on Binti or even considering reading it, drop what you're doing and pick it up. It is so good. It follows this girl that's from like a very, very small tribe. Most of the people of her tribe never leave their village. And so the series starts with Binti sneaking out, very early in the morning and leaving to go to this engineering science school that's like super hard to get into. And I think almost nobody from her village has ever actually gone. She's the first one from her village that has left to go to this place. And basically it's on a whole nother planet, and en route to this planet for her to start going to the school, the ship is attacked, and it's about her dealing with that attack in that first book, that first story. It is a sci-fi story, but it very much blends that kind of theme of magic is just science that we haven't understood yet. And Binti, and people that have her similar capabilities, they're called, her tribe calls them harmonizers, but essentially they can see and meditate and manipulate a little bit mathematical equations, and how math and I assume physics, I'm not super smart on what's real and what's fiction, or creative liberties, but Binti's able to see these kind of picture. I imagine it like if you've seen the movie Jingle Jangle, where the inventor and his granddaughter, they start doing these crazy inventive math and things like that, and how they're seeing it and actually physically picturing it. That's how I'm imagining it when Binti starts doing that type of thing. So as the series goes on, and like I said, I've read 2 of the 3 in the trilogy. As it continues on, you start to learn more and more. And what's really cool is, alien species in general are the diversity as far as like alien species and things like that is extremely vast, but you still deal with very much prejudices and breaking out of cultural norms and things like that. So it's an incredibly rich story. So like I said, if you're thinking about reading Binti at all, absolutely pick it up. All right, so there you have it. Those are the books that I'm reading in February. Let me know what you're reading as well. Comment down below. Are you reading any of these books? Are you taking part in any of those book club picks? Let me know if there's something I should pick up next for next month in March. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you have not already. Once again, I'm JJ the Bearded Bookworm, and I'll see you next time.